DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello, I am Erin O'Brien, a member of the League of Women's Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I am here with candidates running for the office of Ohio House District 40. The term of office is 2 years, and the base salary for this position is $60,584. There are 2 candidates running for this position. Those candidates are Phil Plummer and Ryan Rebecca Taylor. We will start our interviews by having the candidates tell us about themselves and why they want to serve as a state representative. They will have 2 minutes for opening remarks. Ryan Rebecca, please go ahead and give your opening for why you are running.
Thank you. Thank you for having this. I am running for Ohio House District 40, which is northern Montgomery County, Brookville, Englewood, Vandalia, Huber Heights, Riverside, and parts of Dayton, East Dayton, 3rd and 5th Street to Kiowee Street. I am running because when I was a young child, I had a sister who was very close in age, and she had a developmental disability. And I learned from a very young age to advocate for others. I continued this through my professional career as working with people with disabilities, intellectual disabilities, mental health, veterans, and I want to continue doing this at a state level. I currently teach other people how to work with community organizations, nonprofits, and hopefully to further their career, also working mental health counseling. I see this opportunity as a way to gain more scope and scale in working in the same advocacy level on a statewide. I've been a resident of the district pretty much my entire life. I am raising 3 beautiful children there and have been married for 18 years. And what I see happening in Ohio is the same concern I have for my children. So better education, affordable health care, and economic opportunities. And knowing that in Ohio we lag behind, and knowing that we can have the room for improvement, and I know we can do better.
Thank you. Same question. Phil, please tell me about yourself and why you are running.
Hi, Erin, and I want to thank you and the League of Women Voters for having us in today for this important event. It's good for us to get our message out to the voters.
Thank you.
I'm running for the Ohio House because basically I've been employed at the Sheriff's Office for 30 years, so I bring a unique experience to the legislator. The criminal justice system is just an arm of the legislator, so they pass the laws, we have to enforce the laws, and I think the whole criminal justice system needs some reform. We've done a terrible job fighting this opioid epidemic across the state of Ohio and across the nation also. We've really dropped the ball on people suffering from mental illnesses. I'm tired of seeing local jails being facilities where we just warehouse people's substance abuse issues and suffer from mental illnesses. We treat them, we release them, and they're back in the next day. We're not fixing any problems in this state. I'm also a local government guy, and I think the state of Ohio has done a poor job in returning some of our tax dollars back to local communities. That has to stop. Our roads are deteriorating, our bridges are deteriorating, and their coffers are growing. So I told them, I said, you may not like what I have to say when I get there, but I have a lot to say. I've been cut 96 officers since I've been the sheriff. It's very difficult for me to protect the people in Montgomery County because of the continual cuts from the state of Ohio. So like I said, I'm a grassroots guy, I'm a local government guy, I have 30 years experience in law enforcement. We haven't had a sheriff in the State House in 29 years. So it's time for somebody to go there and advocate for the criminal justice and make the proper reforms that we need, to help people in these communities. Warehousing people in outdated jails is not humane, and it's not the way we should treat our citizens of Montgomery County. Also, I'm married to my beautiful wife, Cindy. We've been married for 29 years, and we've been blessed with 3 great children. My youngest just graduated from the Air Force Academy. I'm very proud of my family. So it's time now that I give back, and help the unfortunate and be the voice for the voiceless. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil. Special interests spend immense sums of money in Columbus on lobbying and donations to campaigns. They must report what or whom they are lobbying for or against, but they are not required to report the real-world spending. Do you support full disclosure of who is spending how much to influence our representatives?
Yes, I do. Anything dealing with politics should be full transparency. You know, we're hiding way too much money. We just need to be transparent and put the cards on the table and say, you know, I support these issues, I support these candidates, and be honest about it. And that's both sides of the aisles, Republicans, Democrats, you know, large corporations and unions. We need total transparency. If we're all playing by the same rules, you know, we all have the fair shot at becoming elected and serving the people that we want to serve. So I totally agree in transparency when it comes to politics.
Thank you. Ryan, Rebecca, same question. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Special interests spend immense sums of money in Columbus on lobbying and donations to campaigns. They must report what or whom they are lobbying for or against, but they are not required to report the real-world spending. Do you support full disclosure of who is spending how much to influence our representatives?
I think that's a really good question. My campaign is completely grassroots. We are working together on individual donations and working through our unions in order to have a campaign that's viable in the state of Ohio. I completely agree that we should have full accountability on who and what we're spending money on an ongoing basis at all levels and all participants in government. And that our government shouldn't be biased towards large corporations, but should remember that we are focusing on we the people, and we the people need to decide and work towards fair and equitable government for all of us.
Thank you. Ryan, Rebecca. Ohioans overwhelmingly voted for Issue 1 last year to draw compact contiguous district lines and eliminate the current gerrymandered districts. Are you a supporter of redrawing the district in an effort to promote fair elections, and would you support doing this prior to the 2020 election?
I was a part of that vote, of course, and voted myself. I am in complete agreement that we need to have fair redistricting in Ohio. We need to have fair redistricting, and especially as a candidate, what I've seen happening is that our area, I mentioned Brookville, I'm actually in the outskirts of Brookville in Clay Township. Then we have Clayton, and I'm street by street, and in some cases house by house. So we see our communities divided up and not knowing who their representatives are. And so when we have fair districting, communities can stay together, their voices can be heard together. I absolutely support the redistricting. I look forward to working on this, and I would support the redistricting happening as quickly and as efficiently as possible with as much transparency as possible.
Thank you. Phil, same question. Would you support doing this prior to the 2020 election, redrawing the district?
Yes, I totally support redistricting. Let's have a fair playing field for everybody. It was already on the ballot. The voting public already spoke, and that's what they want also. So anytime there's something on the ballot and the public speaks, I support what the public has to say. And let's keep everything fair, let's keep everything above board, and give everybody an equal shot of representing the people. You know, we're all passionate, we're all running hard, we're all working hard because we have certain beliefs, and we want to serve the public and we want to help people. So if it's an even, fair playing ground, you know, let the best person win, and I totally support it.
Thank you. So back to you, Phil. Several years ago, the state legislature eliminated the inheritance tax. The primary reason given to voters was to save the family farm. Do you know how many family farms have been saved as a result? And based on the struggle that local governments are having to fund necessary services, would you consider reinstating the inheritance tax?
You know, the state's cut a lot of taxes, you know, and I am a conservative, and I believe in cutting taxes and keeping the money back into the taxpayers' pocket so they can properly spend it however they'd like to spend it. You know, I'm tired of taxes being too high. We're driving corporations out of Ohio, but we also have to have a common sense approach. The state has been cutting local governments way too much, and I said before, we're starving. Our bridges are decaying, our roads are decaying, we're losing public safety services. So there is a means for taxing people, and that is for good schools, good jobs, and public safety. So there is a reason for taxes, and I support certain levels of taxes, but like I said, they've cut too much, and it's really impacted us. I mean, we've been suffering from the opioid epidemic for 4 years, and I haven't been given one body to fight this. We have 2 Mexican drug cartels in our community, and I haven't been given one dime to fight this epidemic. You know, we've turned the corner. We've gone from almost 600 deaths to right now about 200 deaths. We have turned the corner, but what we need to keep in mind is this is not going to be our last epidemic. So we need the infrastructure in place to be ready for the next epidemic. And now we're seeing methamphetamines flood our communities. So, you know, we need the tax dollars that we pay. You know, we pay them dearly, and we're proud to pay taxes, but we need the taxpayers' dollars put back into our local communities so we can do what's best for our voters.
Thank you. Ryan, Rebecca, would you consider reinstating the inheritance tax?
I would consider looking at all viable taxable options in order to fairly and equitably serve our communities. What we know is that while our taxes are being cut, we have things like the opioid epidemic, which we need to focus more on prevention and prevention in schools. So it's not necessarily the entire drug epidemic or specific methamphetamine, opioids. It's prevention in general, with mental health prevention, with drug and alcohol prevention, increased opportunities in education, affordable health care, and economic opportunity for all people. And so while we can focus on individual taxes, we need to really prioritize where those taxes are coming from and not passing them on to individuals in the community who cannot afford them. We all know, October 1st, we had an increase in sales tax. We have this because of the lack of responsible leadership in Columbus. With the continuation of this type of leadership, we will continue to have these issues forced on our local area residents, where we will need additional help, and they will continue to go to the polls.
Thank you. The next series of questions may not necessarily apply to the office you are seeking, but is simply another way to help voters know who you are. You are to respond to each question with only one word, yes or no. Remember that you will have the last word with a closing statement if you feel the need to elaborate on an answer. There are 6 questions. Ryan, Rebecca, are you in favor of health care for all?
Yes.
Phil, are you in favor of health care for all?
Yes.
Phil, do you think that the government should be involved in the reproductive decisions of women?
Yes.
Ryan, do you think that the government should be involved in the reproductive decisions of women?
No.
Ryan, would you favor a ban on military-style assault rifles?
Yes.
Phil, would you favor a ban on military-style assault rifles?
No.
Phil, do you believe that climate change is real?
Yes.
Ryan, Rebecca, do you believe that climate change is real?
Yes.
Ryan, are you in favor of term limits?
Yes.
Phil, are you in favor of term limits?
Yes.
And Phil, will you be voting for issue 1?
No.
Ryan, will you be voting for issue 1?
No.
Okay, in closing, what would you like the voters of the 40th District to remember about you as they go to the polls in November? You will each have 2 minutes for your closing remarks. Ryan, Rebecca, we're going to start with you.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate being here with the League of Women Voters. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the Dayton area. What I would like to call your attention to are a couple things that you asked questions about, and as well as my history. First, issue 1. We are here with issue 1 because our legislators failed to listen to our communities. And we cannot continue this practice. We have to listen to our constituents. We have to engage with them, advocate on their behalf, and deliver. What we know is that the treatment of drug and alcohol and opioid and mental health is better done inside of a treatment center and with treatment professionals, and not jailing it away. We will lose an entire generation. What we need to do is elect officials who hear and listen to our community and can act in Columbus. While my opposition has stated his record as far as being an elected official here, much to the cost of our community, with over 12 lawsuits and $10 million in estimated fees, plus an additional $100,000. I am here to tell you that we need people here who can continue and are active in our community and are engaged in our community and continue to serve our community. I have served the community from boards. I have served the community volunteering. I am actively engaged in the community through education, and I look forward to continuing that at the state level, focusing on education and improving our education. We are currently 41st in the state. We are 36th overall for healthcare. We are 32nd for economic development. We need the opportunity to improve. We need legislators who will listen to us. I have done that, and I'm going to continue to do that at the state level. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for allowing me to be here and speak with the public.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Phil, in closing, what would you like the voters of the 40th District to remember about you as they go to the polls in November? You will also have 2 minutes for your closing.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I'd like to ask the voting public to support me in my run for the Ohio legislator because I've served them dearly for 30 years at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. In the last 10 years, I've been the elected sheriff. My opponent wants to bring up some negative points, which I did not want to do, but the problem with the jail is the failed system. You know, we have 30% of my population is people suffering with mental illnesses, and 50% of my population are people with substance abuse issues. We're not being properly funded. We don't have the proper resources, but we do the best job we can do. We have booked in over 250,000 people, 250,000 people in the last 10 years, and we want to discuss 10 lawsuits. But since she wants to go negative, we do have one thing in common. We both send our kids to public or private schools. My children graduated from the private school, and her children were asked to leave because she failed to pay the tuition. So if she can't run her own household budget, how is she going to go to the state and help out with the state's budget? So I'm here to protect the citizens of Montgomery County. I've done a great job as a sheriff, and I'm asking you, the voters, to support me, to send me to the Ohio House of Representatives so I can reform the criminal justice system, provide proper treatment for people who are suffering from addiction, and let's properly serve the people that are suffering from mental illnesses. We have not done that well in this community, and we need to do that. We're opening up tremendous treatment centers in this community, but we don't have a standard of care. So we're wasting millions of our taxpayers' dollars on failed treatment centers. We need to really reach into this problem and find the proper solution and get people back on their feet so they can live the American dream. So as I said, it's been an honor and a privilege serving you, and I will continue to serve you in the Ohio House of Representatives. I'm asking for your vote and your support on November 6th. Thank you.
The goal of the League of Women Voters is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. We are nonpartisan, meaning that we never support or oppose any candidate or party. We encourage everyone to vote. There are several ways to cast your ballot. By absentee ballot. Every registered voter should have received an absentee ballot application from the Secretary of State in September. If you did not receive the absentee form, you can download one from the Secretary of State's website. You can also vote early at your Board of Elections beginning October 10th. And the polls open at 6:30 a.m. on Election Day, Tuesday, November 6th, and close at 7:30 p.m. Last but not least, the League would like to thank DATV for partnering with us once again to present these candidate interviews. They volunteer their time, expertise, and equipment to make this possible. Thanks for watching, and be sure to vote.